This is Your Path, Live, with Bishop Mark, live from Dallas Universal Life Church in Dallas, Texas.
Well, good evening and welcome to Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. I am your host, Bishop Mark Zorn, coming to you live from Dallas, Texas, as we do every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. for Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. And that is exactly what it is, Your Path Live. We are here, the show is about you. So what do we want you to do? We want you to call in. We want you to talk to me. Well, what do you want me to talk to you about? Well, let's talk about your faith. Let's talk about Christianity. Let's talk about your day. Let's talk about your relationships, your husband, your wife, your children, your parents, your school, your job. All those things we can talk about. That's what I'm here for. That's what it's all about. So all you have to do to call in is there's a link going across the bottom of your screen, or the top of your screen, depending on where you're watching. And it says tinyurl.com/Bishop Mark. That's how you call in. That brings you to our green room, and I'll bring you online, and we can talk live. Or you can just use that QR code at the top of your screen there and take your phone, hold it up to it on your camera. It'll bring up a link, hit that link, it'll do the same thing. Please call in. I'd love to hear from you. And don't worry about interrupting. We'll have a topic that we talk about every week, but you can either call in and talk about that topic or talk about whatever you need to talk about. But please call in. Don't hesitate. We only have a few more episodes left this season, so now's your chance. Okay. Like I said, I am the Most Reverend Dr. Mark Zorn, Archbishop and founder of Dallas Universal Life Church. And I'm glad that you've chosen to spend this time with us today. Last week, we talked about the fact that the anniversary is over, but the assignment is not. We celebrated 10 years. We thank God for 10 years. We look back at 10 years. We acknowledge what it took to survive 10 years. But now, the decorations have come down. The anniversary service is behind us. The photographs have been taken. The stories have been told. And now comes the question that matters. Now what? What happens after the celebration? What happens after the emotional moment? What happens after the sermon? What happens after you say that you are ready for your life to change? Because there comes a point when you have to stop talking about what you want God to do and start asking yourself what you are willing to do. You keep asking God to change your life, but are you willing to change your habits? You keep asking God to open doors, but are you willing to get up off the couch and walk through them? You keep asking God to remove people from your life who are not good for you. But why do you keep sending them text messages? You keep asking God for peace. But why do you continue returning to the very situations that steal your peace? You keep asking God for a new chapter, but you are still reading the same old page. Tonight, we're not going to shout about the promise without talking about the price. We're not going to talk about the destination without talking about the decisions required to get there. We're not going to pretend that transformation happens because you came to church, watched a broadcast, reposted an inspirational quote, or whispered a prayer before you went to bed. Tonight, we're going to ask a harder question. What are you actually willing to change? And that question is especially important because we are beginning to move toward the end of season 3 of Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. Over the next few weeks, we are going to spend some time preparing for the next chapter, not simply preparing for a break in the broadcast schedule, preparing for a break in some of the patterns that have been controlling our lives, preparing to put down some of the weight that we have carried for too long, preparing to finish some of the work that we have continued to postpone, preparing to ask ourselves what can come with us into the next season and what needs to remain behind. Because you cannot keep asking God for a new chapter while insisting on carrying every piece of the old chapter with you. Tonight is where that conversation begins. And here we go. You cannot pray for change while protecting the things that keep you stuck. There are people watching me right now who know that something needs to change. You feel it. You wake up feeling it. You go to bed thinking about it. You carry it around with you all day. Something in your life is not working. Maybe it is your relationship. Maybe it's your job. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your spiritual life. Maybe it's your emotional well-being. Maybe it's the way you react every time somebody pushes one of your buttons. You know that something has to change. But there's a difference between knowing that something needs to change and being willing to change it. A lot of people want different results without making different decisions. They want a better life, but they want to keep the same routine. They want to stop feeling exhausted, but they refuse to set boundaries. They want to get out of debt. They do not want to examine where the money is going. They want healthy relationships, but they continue giving access to people who have repeatedly shown that they cannot handle access responsibly. They want a stronger relationship with God, but God receives the leftover 5 minutes at the end of the day after every television show has been watched, every message has been answered, and every social media feed has been checked. We keep saying that we want something different, but what are we willing to do differently? James chapter 1, verse 22 tells us not merely to listen to the word, but to do what it says. That is where many of us get stuck. We enjoy hearing the message. We enjoy being encouraged. We enjoy being reminded that God loves us, and God does love you. But the love of God is not an excuse to remain trapped in the same destructive cycle for another 5 years. The love of God is not permission to keep lying to yourself. The love of God is not an excuse to avoid the difficult work of becoming the person you keep praying to become. Sometimes the most loving thing God can do is make you uncomfortable enough that you finally stop settling. Sometimes the most loving thing God can do is allow you to become tired of your own excuses. Sometimes the most loving thing God can do is force you to look at the pattern you keep repeating. Because if you keep doing what you have always done, you will keep getting what you've always gotten. And you cannot blame the devil for every situation that your own choice keeps rebuilding. You know, there's been a lot of times in my life personally that prayer has not been enough. And I'm not going to get too personal about it. But let's just say this. I was known to, I'm going to drink some of my Coca-Cola on this one. Product placement here. I was known to procrastinate and delay, I guess, getting out of situations that probably weren't the healthiest for me. Praying that they would change and not doing anything to change them myself. And I think that's a common problem. Now, that even it's come into the church somewhat. It's been difficult to, let's see, how do I put this? Dealing with certain congregants. You know, that's something that pastors have to do all the time. And there are certain things that have to be done with certain congregants, that you have to set boundaries with certain people. And that's difficult for me because I don't like telling people no. I don't like saying no to people, and people know that, and they take advantage of that. So I have, prayed about, help me to get the courage to say no. And sometimes that's what it takes. And it's unhealthy when I would not. It would be unhealthy for me, unhealthy for the church, and unhealthy for everybody around me. So that was important that I not only prayed about it and thought about it and knew it needed to happen, but did it. That was the important part, that I did it. I may have asked for the courage, but the faith was necessary. God had to be there with me because I don't think I could have done it on my own. There's a moment when you have to stop saying, God, please show me what to do, when God has already shown you repeatedly. There's a moment when you have to stop asking for another sign. There's a moment when you have to stop waiting for one more confirmation. There's a moment when you have to take the step, not because you have every answer, not because you are completely fearless, not because everything has been perfectly arranged. You take the step because you know that staying where you are is no longer acceptable. Now, we need to count the cost. In Luke chapter 14, Jesus tells the people that before someone builds a tower, they should sit down and estimate the cost. Jesus was not trying to discourage them. He was telling them to be honest. There is a cost to building anything meaningful. There's a cost to building a ministry. There's a cost to building a business. There's a cost to building your life. There is a cost to healing. There's a cost to sobriety. There's a cost to integrity. There's a cost to saying no. There's a cost to walking away. There's a cost to staying when staying is the faithful thing to do. There's a cost to leaving when leaving is the healthy thing to do. Anything worthwhile is going to cost you something. The problem is that we have become accustomed to wanting the benefit without paying the price. We want the harvest without planting seeds. We want the muscle without going to the gym. We want the degree without studying. We want the relationship without communication. We want the ministry without sacrifice. We want influence without accountability. We want a testimony without going through a test. And we want spiritual maturity without ever having to be corrected. But growth always costs something. Sometimes growth costs comfort. Sometimes growth costs convenience. Sometimes growth costs the approval of people who benefited from the old version of you. That is an important one. Some people were perfectly comfortable with you when you had no boundaries. Some people loved you when you were available every hour of the day. Some people appreciated you when you never said no. Some people enjoyed being around you when you constantly minimized yourself so that they could feel larger. Some people were comfortable with the version of you who kept apologizing for taking up space. But when you begin to grow, some people become uncomfortable. When you begin to speak clearly, they say that you have changed. When you begin to say no, they call you selfish. When you begin to protect your time, they say that you become difficult. When you stop participating in chaos The people who are addicted to chaos will accuse you of abandoning them. Sometimes growth costs you the approval of people who were never committed to your healing. And you have to decide whether you want peace or applause. You have to decide whether you want purpose or popularity. You have to decide whether you want to become who God is calling you to become, or remain trapped by the expectations of people who have no intention of changing their own lives. Okay. Ask yourself these questions honestly. What is your current situation costing you? How much time have you lost? How much sleep have you lost? How much peace have you lost? How many opportunities have you missed because you kept returning to the same distraction? How many times have you delayed your own progress because you were afraid of disappointing someone else? How many times have you ignored what you already knew because the truth was inconvenient? How many times have you confused patience with avoidance? How many times have you called it loyalty when it was actually fear? How many times have you called it grace when it was actually enabling? How many times have you called it waiting on God when God was waiting on you? Okay. I'm using this new teleprompter on this thing, and it only allows like so many words, and that's it. And it just stops. I talk so fast that it goes like that. It's gone. So what we're going to do now, since I have to reload it now, we're going to take an early break, and I'll put some more on the teleprompter, and we'll just play it that way. We'll see how that works. We'll be right back right after these messages, if I can find the messages for us here somewhere. They're here somewhere. I see them right there. We'll be right back, folks.
The Zoo Radio Network exists for one reason: to reach people where they are with music, conversation, and truth that still matters. In a world full of noise, the Zoo is a place for connection, reflection, encouragement, and real talk about faith, life, and purpose. Hi, I'm Sean, and I want to tell you a little more about who the Zoo Radio Network is. We are not backed by corporations. We are not driven by profit. We are powered by people. Your support keeps the Zoo broadcasting not only great Christian music, but also modern pop, classical, country, and live programming that speaks to real life. It allows us to produce shows like Your Path Live with Bishop Mark, stream worship services, amplify unheard voices, and remain accessible to anyone who needs hope. No paywall, no barriers. So, why does your support matter? Running a radio network takes more than passion. It takes broadcasting and streaming infrastructure, music licensing and royalties, studio equipment and technical support, website hosting and digital platforms, outreach, promotion, and community programming. Every dollar given goes directly into keeping the Zoo strong, stable, and growing. This is more than radio. The Zoo is ministry without walls. It reaches the lonely at night. It reaches the seeker who won't walk into a church. It reaches the believer who needs to be reminded they're not alone. When you give, you are not just funding a station. You are investing in lives being touched every single day. How can you help? We have a program designed so that all can give without breaking the bank. One-time gift, make an immediate impact. Monthly partner, become part of the backbone of the Zoo. Sponsor a program or hour of airtime. Dedicate it in honor or memory of someone meaningful. No gift is too small. Every gift moves the mission forward. Stand with us. Keep the signal alive. If the Zoo has encouraged you, challenged you, comforted you, or helped you feel connected, now is your chance to give back. Support the Zoo Radio Network today and help us continue broadcasting hope, truth, and real faith into a world that desperately needs it. Give, share, be part of the voice. Visit www.yourdallas.church and go to the Donate tab to make your tax-deductible donation today. Thank you from all of us at the Zoo Radio Network.
And welcome back to Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. I am your host, Bishop Mark Zorn, coming to you live from Dallas Universal Life Church in Dallas, Texas. And we're going to jump right back into this. Folks, don't forget, if you want to call in, there's that link at the bottom of the screen or the top of the screen, whichever way you're watching, or the QR code. Make sure you call in and talk to me. The show's about you. And if you don't call in, the show's not about anything. Really, please call in. That's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for. And that's what makes the show fun. Okay, let's get on to it. Denying yourself. Deny yourself does not mean destroy yourself. Luke chapter 9, verse 23 records Jesus saying that whoever wants to follow him must deny themselves, take up their cross daily, and follow him. Now, that passage has been used carelessly at times. Some people have been taught that denying yourself means accepting mistreatment. It does not. Some people have been taught that taking up your cross means tolerating abuse. It does not. Some people have been taught that being a Christian means allowing everybody to take advantage of you. It does not. Jesus did not say become everybody's doormat. Jesus did not say stay in every toxic environment. Jesus did not say ignore your own health until you fall apart. Jesus did not say never set a boundary. Jesus did not say allow people to harm you repeatedly and call it forgiveness. Denying yourself means that you stop allowing every impulse, every craving, every fear, every emotional reaction, and every temporary feeling to control your decisions. Denying yourself means you stop saying, this is just how I am, when how you are is harming you and the people around you. Denying yourself means you stop letting your immediate comfort become more important than your long-term calling. There are days when your feelings are going to tell you to quit. There are days when your feelings are going to tell you to lash out. There are days when your feelings are going to tell you to send that message. There are days when your feelings are going to tell you to reopen a door that God helped you close. There are days when your feelings are going to tell you to spend money that you do not have. There are days when your feelings are going to tell you to stay in bed and give up. There are days when your feelings are going to tell you that you are too old, too damaged, too late, too tired, too overlooked, or too far behind. You need to understand something. Your feelings are real, but they are not always reliable. You can acknowledge a feeling without allowing it to drive the car. You can say, I feel afraid, and still move forward. You can say, I feel hurt, and still refuse to become bitter. You can say, I feel angry, and still control your response. You can say, I feel tired, and still take one responsible step. You can say, I do not feel ready, and still obey what God has placed in front of you. Faith is not the absence of emotion. Faith is deciding that your emotions will not become your master. Okay. Let's talk about feelings here. And I'm going to talk a little bit about personal feelings here. I started the church 10 years ago, and starting a church from scratch is not the easiest thing in the world to do. You don't have any backers. You don't have a denomination behind you. You don't have a whole staff with you. It's just kind of pretty much you. And there were times when I was exhausted, but I had to keep going. If I wanted this ministry to keep going, I had to keep going because nobody else was there to do it for me, but me at times, especially during COVID. I mean, there was no choice. I mean, I was here and that was it. We had to record it and get it on the air. We had to continue ministry when circumstances were not ideal. We have done church services in my condo for the last 10 years. Why? Because we don't have the money to move into a new place yet. We're working toward a larger vision, but it just takes time. I built the DULC TV network and the Zoo Radio network, which y'all are listening to and watching today. Online services. We built an app and other platforms without waiting for perfect conditions. They had to be done. We didn't have the money to do it, but somehow we made it happen. And somehow every month we keep those on. We get late notices. We do, but somehow we find a way. That all comes down and trickles down to personal issues, personal finances, because I put just about everything I have into my church, and so it all kind of snowballs. But I can't let those feelings stop what I'm supposed to be doing. We didn't wait until everything was easy. We used what we had where we were and kept moving. Understand, that's what it takes. You have to just figure out what is possible. And sometimes you'll be amazed at what actually is possible when you dig deep. Sometimes we think progress has to be dramatic, but progress is often much less glamorous. Progress is getting up when you wanted to stay down. Progress is making one phone call. Progress is sending one email. Progress is filling out one application. Progress is apologizing when your pride wants to remain silent. Progress is deleting the number. Progress is turning off the television and opening the Bible. Progress is making the appointment. Progress is asking for help. Progress is admitting that the situation is not working. Progress is choosing not to respond immediately when you're angry. Progress is choosing going to bed earlier. Progress is getting out of bed earlier. Progress is beginning again after you fell down yesterday. Do not underestimate what God can do through a series of small, faithful decisions. There are moments when the problem is not a single mistake. The problem is the pattern. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has a bad day. Everybody says something they wish they could take back. Everybody becomes distracted occasionally. Everybody falls short. But when the same problem keeps happening in a different outfit, it's time to stop pretending that it is an isolated incident. It's a pattern. You meet a new person, but the relationship becomes the same relationship. You get a new job, but you carry the same attitude. You move into a new home, but you bring the same chaos. You join a new church, but you repeat the same conflict. You say that this month will be different, but you keep making the same financial decisions. You say that you're done with the drama, but you continue answering every invitation to participate in it. You say that you want peace, but you keep feeding the argument. You say you want a new beginning, but your daily routine is designed to recreate the old ending. The names change, the places change, the calendar changes, but the pattern remains. And until the pattern changes, the results will remain painfully familiar. Romans 12, chapter 2, speaks about transformation through the renewing of the mind. Transformation is not simply changing your location. Transformation is changing the way you think. Because you can move to another city and still bring your habits with you. You can begin a new relationship and still bring your insecurities with you. You can join another church and still bring your unresolved anger with you. You can get a promotion and still bring your lack of discipline with you. You can receive more money and still bring your poor financial habits with you. You can find a new opportunity and still sabotage it with the old mindset. Sometimes the new door is not the solution because you are carrying the old pattern through the new door. So tonight, here comes the fun part, folks. Tonight, I want you to identify one repeating pattern, not 10, folks. You don't need to do that. Just one. Start with one. What is one thing that keeps happening in your life? What usually happens right before it? What do you tell yourself in that moment? What excuse do you use? What feeling are you trying to avoid? What temporary comfort are you choosing? What consequence follows? And what is one different decision that you can make the next time the moment arrives? Because changing your life often begins with interrupting the pattern at one critical point. The moment arrives. You usually react automatically, but this time you pause. This time you pray. This time you step away. This time you wait before responding. This time you call somebody who helps you make a better decision. This time you do not go. This time you do not buy it. This time you do not answer. This time you do not reopen the argument. This time you do not allow guilt to manipulate you. This time you remain where the road led the last time. One different decision can interrupt a cycle that has controlled you for years. It's time to stop calling it a season when it has become a lifestyle. There are difficult seasons in life. There are. And there are seasons of grief. There are seasons of transition. There are seasons of uncertainty. There are seasons when you're simply doing everything you can to hold on. There's no shame in acknowledging that. But there's a danger in becoming so accustomed to survival that you begin to treat survival mode as your permanent identity. Some of you have been saying, I'm just trying to get through this season for years. At some point, you have to ask whether the season has become a lifestyle. At some point, you have to ask whether the emergency has become your normal operating procedure. At some point, you have to ask whether the chaos is something happening to you or something you have become comfortable recreating. There's a difference between going through a storm and building your house in the storm. There's a difference between experiencing a crisis and becoming addicted to crisis. There's a difference between helping someone through a difficult time and joining them in a never-ending cycle of dysfunction. You were not created merely to survive one emergency after another. God has more for you than constantly cleaning up the consequences of decisions that you knew you were going to cause problems. God has more for you than spending every week apologizing for what happened last weekend. God has more for you than constantly rebuilding what you keep tearing down. God has more for you than living in a state of emotional whiplash. Peace may feel unfamiliar when chaos is what you have always known. That is important. Sometimes people sabotage peace because peace feels strange. When you have lived around constant conflict, silence can feel uncomfortable. When you have lived in instability, stability can feel boring. When you've spent years chasing approval, healthy relationships can feel unfamiliar because healthy people do not make you audition for love every day. When you have lived in crisis, calm can make you suspicious. When you find yourself asking, what is about to go wrong, but you are allowed to experience peace without waiting for the next disaster. You are allowed to build a life that is not constantly on fire. You're allowed to stop inviting people into your life who arrive carrying matches. The difference between an excuse and an explanation. Let's talk about that. There are legitimate explanations for why some things are difficult. Your history matters. Your trauma matters. Your grief matters. Your health matters. Your circumstances matter. Your responsibilities matter. The things that happen to you matter. We should never dismiss those realities. An explanation should help you understand the obstacle. It should not become permission to remain trapped forever. There comes a point when you have to say, this happened to me, but it will not define every decision I make for the rest of my life. There we go. See, that's not very long. The teleprompter is just not going to work for us. Get back to my normal stuff here. Because it's too quick. I can't take another break now, right? And you haven't called in yet, so I'm still waiting on you to call in. All right, let me pull it up the other way. Where was I? Back up. Sorry, folks, I'll get it for you just a second. You know me, I always got to have something going on. I'm not sabotaging myself. All right. Realize how long these things are until you actually start looking at them. Okay. Oh, here we are. Anything, do it. Just point. Okay, let me pull this down, make it a little bigger. Turn that teleprompter off so I can see what's going on. Oops. I don't want to do that. I don't want to transfer to another language. Let's see. So I'm still getting used to this. Okay, there it is right there. Okay, let's go. Now I can see my regular face now. There we go. Comes a point where you have to say, this happened to me, but it will not define every decision I make for the rest of my life. I was hurt, but I refuse to become a person who hurts everybody else. I was abandoned, but I refuse to sabotage every relationship because I'm terrified that someone else may leave. I made mistakes, but I refuse to spend the rest of my life believing that I am nothing more than the worst thing I ever did. I lost time, but I will not waste more time grieving the times that I lost. I did not receive everything I needed growing up, but I am responsible for what I choose to do now. The goal is not to pretend that the past did not happen. The goal is to stop allowing the past to have the final word. Your wound may explain your reaction, but healing means that your wound no longer controls your response. I can understand why you are struggling and still believe that you are capable of taking the next step. Grace does not mean that nothing has to change. Grace means that you do not have to change alone. Because there's a difference between compassion and incompatibility. And we've confused grace with the absence of responsibility. But grace is not God saying, stay exactly as you are forever. Grace is God saying, you do not have to stay exactly as you are forever. Grace gives you the opportunity to begin again. Grace gives you the courage to admit where you are. Grace reminds you that your worst moment does not have to become your permanent address. Grace gives you another chance, but you still have to take the chance. You do not need another moment. You need a decision. There are moments when we become addicted to emotional moments. We want another sermon. We want another altar call, another sign, another motivational video, another conversation, another promise that everything is going to be all right. There's nothing wrong with encouragement. We all need encouragement. But encouragement is supposed to move you toward action. Encouragement is not supposed to become a substitute for action. You do not need another emotional moment if you refuse to make a decision when the moment is over. You don't need another notebook filled with goals and never become actions. You don't need another list of things you're going to begin on Monday. Ooh, I know somebody who does that. You don't need another New Year's resolution in the middle of June. You don't need another speech about your potential. You need a decision. You decide that your peace matters. You decide that your calling matters. You decide that your health matters. You decide that your time matters. You decide that your future matters more than your temporary comfort. You decide that you are no longer going to negotiate with the habits that are destroying you. You decide that you are no longer going to beg people to value you. You decide that you are no longer going to allow every opinion to become a command. You decide that you are no longer going to spend your entire life standing outside of a door that God already opened. There are decisions that only you can make. Nobody can forgive on your behalf. Nobody can set boundaries for you. Nobody can force you to leave the situation that you keep returning to. Nobody can make you ask for help. Nobody can make you take responsibility. Nobody can make you stop blaming everybody else. Nobody can do your healing for you. People can support you. People can pray for you. People can encourage you. People can walk beside you. But eventually, you have to decide. Your life is not shaped primarily by what you do once in a while. Your life is shaped by what you repeat. One healthy meal does not transform your health. One prayer does not build a consistent prayer life. One responsible purchase does not repair your finances. One apology does not rebuild trust. One Sunday in church does not automatically create spiritual maturity. One productive day does not change a lifetime of procrastination. But repeated choices become habits. Repeated choices become habits. Habits then become patterns. Patterns shape your direction, and your direction determines where you eventually arrive. You may not be able to change everything tonight, but you can change what you repeat tomorrow morning. You change the first thing you do when you wake up. You can change the way you speak to yourself. You can change the people you call when you're upset. You can change the way you respond when somebody attempts to pull you into an argument. You can change the amount of time you spend scrolling through everybody else's life while neglecting your own. You can change the way you spend the first $10 after your paycheck arrives. You can change the way you prepare for your day. You can change the way you talk about your future. You can change the way you pray. You can change the way you show up. You can change one repeated action. And the moment you change what you repeat, you begin changing what your life becomes. I do not want you to leave tonight with a vague feeling that the message was inspiring. I want you to take action. Within the next 24 hours, choose one specific step. Not a general intention, not I need to do better, not I'm going to work on myself, not I'm going to try harder. Choose something measurable. Make the appointment. Send the email. Fill out the form. Delete the number. Create the budget. Set the alarm. Clean the room. Write the plan. Make the phone call. Apologize. Ask for help. Turn down the invitation. Block off the time. Read the chapter. Apply for the job. Begin the project. Cancel the subscription. Walk for 20 minutes. Drink the water. Take the medication as directed. Put the document where you will see it. Tell somebody you trust what you have decided so that you're not relying on your own mood tomorrow. Choose one action. Do it within 24 hours. Then choose the next action. Stop waiting for your entire life to change in one dramatic moment. Begin building the life that you keep praying for, one faithful decision at a time. Year 11 cannot look exactly like year 10. We've been talking tonight about personal change. But this is also a moment of transition for the church and for this program. Dallas Universal Life Church has entered year 11. Your Path Live is preparing to close out season 3. And the question is the same in every area. Are we going to repeat what we have already done simply because it is familiar? Or are we willing to become more faithful, more disciplined, more intentional, and more courageous about what comes next? At Dallas Universal Life Church, we just celebrated 10 years, and that is worth celebrating. 10 years of ministry, 10 years of worship, 10 years of prayer, 10 years of teaching, 10 years of service, 10 years of reaching people who have often been overlooked, rejected, dismissed, or made to believe that there was no place for them in the church. But year 11 cannot simply become year 10 repeated. Gratitude for the past is not permission to become comfortable. We're grateful for what God has done, but we have to ask what God is calling us to do next. The church cannot merely celebrate the people who already know where to find us. We have to reach the people who are still searching. We have to reach the people who will never walk into a traditional church building. We have to reach the people who are sitting alone in their homes. We have to reach the people who are watching from a hospital bed. We have to reach the people who are incarcerated. We have to reach the people who are afraid that the church will reject them again. We have to reach the people who are hungry. We have to reach people who need clothing. We have to reach people who are sleeping outside. We have to reach the people who need spiritual care and practical assistance. That is why the church is expanding through our services, online ministry, DULC TV network, the Zoo Radio network, our Roku app, and the continuing vision for the Gavin Myers Community Resource and Spiritual Wellness Center at Dallas Universal Life Church. The platforms are not the mission. The platforms are tools. The mission is people. The mission is the person who needs to hear that they are not alone. The mission is the person who needs to know that they are loved. The mission is the person who needs to understand that they belong. The mission is not to build something that makes us look impressive. The mission is to become more faithful. It's been, I have to put it this way, it's been difficult to keep on that path when we're doing our services out of a small condo every Sunday. You know, I grew up I told everybody this often, I'm a recovering Catholic. I grew up in the Catholic Church, and you know, the Catholic Church, we have big churches and cathedrals and a lot of pomp and circumstance and all those wonderful things. And I long for that, something like that in our church. It's kind of difficult though when you have a small living room that you're using as your chapel. Holding services in my condo was never the final dream, but it was what we had in the beginning. And it was a faithful beginning. The need for permanent center with space for worship, pastoral counseling, food and clothing storage, and community support is very real. And it's something that we are working diligently toward. Again, I'm one person, and it's really having to make people realize that if they want something to happen with the church, it's going to take more than just me. And that's been a challenge, but we're working through that, and hopefully soon we'll be seeing some progress toward that goal. You know, I want this to happen, something to be moving on that this year. I'm ready for that to go. I think it's time for us to quit sitting here and being comfortable and take the step and move on. So, you know, we minister to primarily LGBTQ plus people, not exclusively, because I don't like to be called a gay church. I don't think that's what we are. I think we're a gay affirming church, and we're a church for everybody. Just because we have a predominantly gay and lesbian congregation today doesn't mean it's going to be that tomorrow. It can change daily. We minister to people who are experiencing homelessness. We minister to people who feel that they've been rejected by traditional institutions. And the next chapter requires participation from the congregation and the broader community. Like I said, I cannot do it alone. It's going to take more than me. Year 11 requires more than applause. Year 11 requires participation. Year 11 requires prayer. Year 11 requires work. Year 11 requires people to stop saying somebody should do something and become the somebody who does something. There's room for you in the work. There's a place for your gift. There's a need for your compassion. There's a need for your time. There's a need for your resources. There's a need for your ideas. And there's a need for your willingness to show up. Do not underestimate what God can do through a small group of people who decide they are finished making excuses. Seven questions to ask yourself before next Wednesday. And between now and next Wednesday, I want you to sit with these 7 questions. You ready? You can always go back and watch this again. I'll tell you, before we go to this, let me just tell you real quick. I've revamped a lot of the stuff on the Zoo Radio Network. If you haven't had a chance, go check it out. Go check out the schedule on there, thezue.net. I don't have it in front of me. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. I have it on my phone right here. Here it is. Schedule. Okay. Like right now, we have Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. After that, we've just got Varieties of the Soul as our regular programming, right? So then on Thursday, we'll have what we call a Thursday Rewind, and that starts at 7 o'clock, 7 to midnight. So a couple times you'll be able to watch last Sunday's service as well as the show that you were watching tonight again on Thursday for the Rewind. We'll do that between 7 and midnight. Probably both of them will play twice during that time. It's a great way. If you missed one of them, you can catch up there. Or if you just want to rewatch it and see more, that's a good way to do that. Friday, we have the official starts of the weekend with Bishop Mark starting at 5 p.m. Central Time. That's for 90 minutes. That's great music, kind of letting the week go and getting into the weekend. Then we have, starting at 11 o'clock that night, we have something called the Zoo Late Night, which is our new late night programming. Twice a week we do this, and it's more of popular music, dance music, club music, remixes, things like that. And that goes until 3 a.m. So from 11 tomorrow night, or Friday night till 3 a.m. on Saturday morning. Saturday, regular programming. Sunday, of course, we have Exploring Your Faith Live with Bishop Mark, which is our Sunday services, starting at 3 o'clock. And that goes for a couple hours, which includes our roundtable, Bishop's Roundtable. And then back to regular programming. Monday's a fun one. Monday, starting at 7 o'clock, 7 to 11, we have the Mark Zorn Music Monday. It's all Mark Zorn music for those few hours. Okay, so I had to have a little fan club thing going on there. You know, it is what it is. And then Tuesday, we have at 7 o'clock, 7 to 8 o'clock, we have the Gaither Hour, which is all Bill Gaither's music for 1 hour. And then again on Tuesday night, starting at 11 o'clock, we have late night, the Zoo late night from 11 till 3 a.m. We did that last night. It was a lot of fun for the first time. So I enjoyed that a lot. I think it's going to be a fun setting. We had some listeners too, which is good. I'm glad. Thank you for listening. All those things were just for the Zoo. Of course, we have things with the church as well. And I'll go over that in just a few minutes when we get a little time at the end here. But I want to finish this up for you first. I just wanted to bring that up to tell you we are making some changes, and I want you to check it out because I think you'll like some of the stuff that's happening with the Zoo. THEZUE.net. And they're listening to y'all listening to that right now. Hello, Zoo. How are y'all? All right, 7 questions to ask yourself before next Wednesday. I hope you got a pen while I was talking there. Between now and next Wednesday, I want you to sit down with these 7 questions. Number 1, what do I keep asking God to change that requires a decision from me? Number 2, what pattern keeps producing the same painful result? Number 3, what boundary do I need to set? Number 4, what conversation have I been avoiding? Number 5, what habit is quietly stealing my time, peace, health, or future? Number 6, what is one action I can complete within the next 24 hours? Number 7, who can help hold me accountable without shaming me? Write the answers down. Don't keep everything floating around in your head. Put it on paper. Make it specific. You do not have to solve your entire life tonight, but you need to stop pretending that there is nothing you can do. There is always a next step. It may be small. It may be uncomfortable. It may not solve everything immediately, but it is still a step. Okay. I do not want you to become another message that you enjoyed. I don't want tonight to become another message that you enjoyed but never applied. I do not want you to say, that was good, and then return immediately to the same pattern. I do not want you to feel motivated for 30 minutes and unchanged for another 30 days. I want you to make a decision, not next month, not when the circumstances become perfect, not when everybody understands, not when you feel completely ready. Tonight, decide what needs to change. Choose one action. Take the step. You have survived things that you thought would destroy you. You have made it through days you did not believe you could survive. You have prayed prayers through tears. You have held on when you wanted to let go. You have come too far to spend the next year repeating the same cycle. You are not powerless. You are not hopeless. You are not trapped forever. You may not control everything that has happened to you, but you still have choices. You still have a voice. You still have a future. You still have a calling. You still have a God who has not abandoned you. And you still have a next step. Take it. Okay. Now I want to talk about 7 excuses that keep people stuck. Before we close tonight, I want to take this one step further because some of us know that we need to make a change. We know the pattern. We know the consequence. We know what the next step should be, but we still do not take it. And why? Because we have developed excuses that sound reasonable enough to protect us from doing the difficult thing. Now let us talk about 7 of them. Excuse number 1, I'm waiting for the right time. There's wisdom in timing. Not every decision should be rushed, but sometimes waiting for the right time is simply fear wearing a respectable outfit. There will rarely be a perfect time to begin. There will always be another reason to delay. You will always be busy. You will always have responsibilities. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be people who do not understand. There will always be another bill. There will always be another distraction. Sometimes you have to begin before everything is perfectly arranged. Do not confuse preparation with procrastination. Ask yourself, am I truly preparing or am I hiding? Excuse number 2. I do not have enough. I do not have enough money. I do not have enough time. I do not have enough support. I do not have enough education. I do not have enough experience. I do not have enough energy. I don't have enough of connections. Sometimes those concerns are legitimate, but the question is not always whether you have everything you need to finish. The question may be whether you have enough to begin. Dallas Universal Life Church did not begin with a massive facility, a huge congregation, or unlimited resources. It began with faith, commitment, and a willingness to use what was available. Do not despise small beginnings. Use what is in your hand. Take the step that is possible today. Then take the next step when it becomes available. Number 3, I tried before and it did not work. Maybe you did try before. Maybe it did not work. Maybe you failed. Maybe somebody disappointed you. Maybe the opportunity fell apart. Maybe you were not ready at the time. Maybe you made mistakes. But yesterday's failure is not proof that tomorrow's attempt is pointless. You are not the same person you were the last time. You know more now. You recognize more warning signs now. You understand more about your own pattern now. You may be able to approach the situation with greater wisdom. Do not allow one failed attempt to become a lifetime sentence. Number 4, people will not understand. Okay, they may not. Some people will misunderstand you. Some people will criticize you. Some people will create their own version of the story. Some people will be offended by boundaries that have nothing to do with them. Some people will become uncomfortable when they stop playing the role they assign to you. When you stop playing the role they assign to you. You cannot build your entire life around preventing people from misunderstanding you. Be honest. Be kind. Communicate clearly where appropriate, when appropriate. But understand that not everybody is entitled to a vote on your future. Some people will not understand the decision because they were never meant to make it. Number 5, I am too far behind. Behind whom? Somebody on social media? Somebody you knew 20 years ago? Somebody whose life looks perfect from a distance? Somebody measuring your life using somebody else's timeline? You are not late for your own life. Maybe you lost time. Maybe you took a detour. Maybe you made choices that delayed your progress. Maybe circumstances beyond your control changed the timeline, but you are still here. As long as you are still here, there is still work to do. The next faithful step is still available. Take it. Excuse number 6. This is just who I am. No. That may be who you have been. That may be how you learned to survive. That may be the pattern you developed. That may be the reaction you have repeated. But it does not have to be who you remain. I've always been this way. It's not a spiritual principle. It is often an excuse to avoid the discomfort of growth. You can learn new ways to respond. You can become more disciplined. You can become more patient. You become more honest. You become more responsible. You become better at setting boundaries. You can ask for help. You can grow. You're not required to remain imprisoned by an outdated version of yourself. Number 7, I will start tomorrow. Tomorrow is one of the most dangerous words in the language when it becomes your hiding place. Tomorrow feels responsible. Tomorrow feels hopeful. Tomorrow allows you to imagine a better life without doing anything uncomfortable today. But eventually, tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next month. Next month becomes next year. And suddenly, you are standing in the same place wondering where the time went. There's something you can do today. It may be small, but do it today. Send the message today. Write the first sentence today. Put the appointment on the calendar today. Throw the item away today. Set the boundary today. Spend 10 minutes organizing the plan today. Pray honestly today, but begin today. Okay, let's go over this real quick, and then we'll do the closeout here. It's all over the place here. Boy, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay. I told you what's going on with the zoo. Let's talk about what's going on with DULC TV and the other things we've got going on, and Roku and whatnot. Okay. Coming on Friday, like I said, we have Exploring Your Faith. We have the official start of the week with Bishop Mark. That is exclusively on the Zoo at 5 p.m. at thezue.net for 90 minutes of great music and talk for the weekend. Okay, then Sunday, like I said, we have Exploring Your Faith Live with Bishop Mark. That's at 3 p.m. Central Time. That is on the Zoo as well, but it's also on dulc.online.church and on our Roku app and on our website and on Facebook and Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. So all those places you can catch us. Then it's also with the roundtable on that. Then, of course, next Wednesday, again, we have Your Path Live with Bishop Mark right here. We only have 3 episodes left after that. So we're coming to the end here. So don't miss out and call in. Next Wednesday, we have that. So it's the cycle continues here for another few more weeks. And we're going to be closing out Your Path for the season. Take a little summer break and we'll be back in a few months, a couple months. Okay. Let's get this last stuff done here. First, I want to do our we'll say our prayer, and then we'll do a final close. How's that sound? So, let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we come before you tonight with honesty. We admit that there are areas of our lives where we have asked for change while resisting the decisions that change requires. We have protected habits that are harming us. We've returned to situations that steal our peace. We have delayed difficult conversations. We've allowed fear, pride, exhaustion, guilt, and comfort to control our choices. Forgive us. Give us wisdom to recognize the patterns that keep us stuck. Give us courage to make the decisions we have avoided. Give us strength to set healthy boundaries. Give us humility to ask for help. Give us patience when progress feels slow. Give us discipline when our feelings tell us to quit. Give us grace when we stumble. Remind us that the beginning again is not failure. Remind us that small steps still matter. Remind us that we do not walk alone. Bless every person watching and listening tonight. Bless the person who's afraid to make the phone call. Bless the person who needs to ask for help. Bless the person who knows that a chapter must close. Bless the person who is trying to rebuild after loss. Bless the person who is exhausted from carrying too much for too long. Bless the person who needs to believe that their future can be different. Guide Dallas Universal Life Church as we begin year 11. Help us remain faithful to the mission you have placed before us. Help us serve those who feel unseen. Help us welcome those who have been rejected. Help us feed the hungry, clothe those in need, comfort the grieving, encourage the discouraged, and remind every person that they are loved and that they belong. Give us the courage not only to pray for change, but to participate in the change. In your holy name, we pray. Amen. Okay. Well, let me see if I can do this last little section here. That's our excuses. Here we go. Now, I want you to say this with me. I will not keep asking for a new life while repeating the habits of the old one. I will not allow fear to make every decision. I will not confuse procrastination with preparation. I will not allow other people's opinions to become a prison. I will not allow yesterday's failure to cancel tomorrow's possibility. Try that again. I will not allow yesterday's failures to cancel tomorrow's possibility. I will not wait until everything is perfect. I will use what I have. I will begin where I am. I will take the next step. I will trust God with the road ahead. And I will choose a different path. Amen. It's all about that walking the walk, I think. We can talk ourselves out of almost anything and talk ourselves into a lot of things too. But what are we doing with our feet? Are we moving? Are we wanting to make that change? And we can talk about it. Talk about that change all we want, but what are you doing to make it happen? I mean, this is the most simple thing I can say about what we've talked about tonight is you have to make a decision to move. You have to make a decision to make a change. You have to do that. I'm not saying you have to do it alone. I'm not saying you have to do it all at once. I'm just saying you have to make that decision to do it. You have to take that first step. Nobody can do that for you. And that can be scary. Absolutely. And it can be uncomfortable. Absolutely. But like I've said many times, if you're comfortable in this life, you're not necessarily doing something right, because this life is all about change. It's about learning. It's about, and learning new things is not comfortable because don't know them. We're not familiar with them. But that's what we're supposed to be doing. The universe is constantly moving and changing and growing and dying and being reborn around us. Why would God expect anything less from us? If you're sitting still with this earth that's going thousands of miles an hour around the sun, you're kind of going against the grain there, right? No calls today, folks. I'm getting disappointed. No, it's okay. I get it. I see you watching. I know you're there. That's cool. I just wish you'd call and at least tell me where you're calling from. That's okay, though. I hope that you're soaking up what is being put out there. And if you're not, get in touch with us. Talk to your pastor. Talk to me, Reverend Mark. I'm sorry, it's not Reverend Mark. It's Mark at yourdallas.church. That's my email address, mark@yourdallas.church. If you need to send me an email, that's where you send it. Or just call in on the show next week. So, I'm killing a little time here. I don't want to end too early. It was 94 degrees today here in Dallas. But I guess, it's that time of year. It's getting there. 94. It's still 90. It's 94, actually. It's 94 right now in Dallas. Is that right? Something like that. It's hot. It got hot. It's going to be a hot summer, I think, in Dallas this year. It's that every year, but it's going to be a really hot summer this year. How's the weather where you are? Folks, I enjoyed tonight. It was a lot of fun. Don't forget, coming up Sunday at 3 p.m. on all of our networks, including the Zoo and DULC TV and our Roku network and everything else, we have Exploring Your Faith Live with Bishop Mark at 3 p.m. That's being followed by the Bishop Round Table. That's a lot of fun. The Bishop Round Table is a lot of fun. If you've never seen it, it's something you'll really experience. And our services are open. If you're in Dallas, come by. You're welcome to come to the service. If not, you can watch us online. And then, of course, next Wednesday, we have, again, Your Path Live with Bishop Mark, right here at the same time, same place. And I also missed Friday. This coming Friday, we have the official start of the weekend. That's at 5 p.m. Central Time at DULC TV. I'm sorry, 5 p.m. Central Time on the Zoo, THEZUE.net, THEZUE.net. Folks, that's going to do it for tonight. I've enjoyed it. I hope you have too. And we will see you next time. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for joining us for Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. God bless you.